Urgent news emerging from Buckingham Palace has abruptly disrupted the sense of stability surrounding the British monarchy. What was expected to be a standard update has instead become a deeply troubling revelation. The long-feared confirmation regarding Catherine, Princess of Wales, has now been officially delivered, and its consequences are profound. This announcement marks a turning point. The historic gates of Buckingham Palace have borne witness to many defining moments, yet few compare to what transpired earlier today. At exactly 11:45 a.m., the Palace Press Office issued a statement that immediately reverberated across the United Kingdom and around the globe. Carefully phrased yet unmistakably grave, the message confirmed suspicions many had tried desperately to dismiss. Catherine, Princess of Wales, widely regarded as a symbol of contemporary royal elegance and strength, is confronting a health crisis far more severe than the public had previously been led to believe. Distributed through official channels and rapidly amplified by major media outlets, the statement disclosed that her condition has taken a serious and unexpected turn. Although the palace revealed in March 2024 that Catherine was receiving preventative chemotherapy following abdominal surgery, today's update presents a far more alarming picture. The cancer detected during surgery in January has proven to be significantly more aggressive than first assumed. Physicians advising the royal household have now called for a longer and more intensive course of treatment, one that necessitates Catherine's complete withdrawal from public life for an undefined length of time. Royal correspondent Jonathan Sacerdoti was among the first to analyze the announcement on live television. His typically composed delivery carried a noticeable gravity as he emphasized that palace statements are meticulously crafted. Each phrase is deliberate. When language such as extended treatment and indefinite period appears, it signals a situation far more serious than a temporary health setback. This is not a matter of rest or routine recovery. It is the reality of a woman in her early 40s fighting a life-threatening illness, all while striving to shield her 3 young children from the full extent of her suffering. The public reaction was immediate. Within minutes, social media platforms ignited. Catherine's name surged to the top of global trends on X, formerly Twitter. The phrase "Pray for Catherine" reached number 1 in more than 50 countries, while royal-focused Instagram accounts amassed millions of views in under an hour. Yet beyond the digital response, something deeper unfolded. Individuals who had never felt strongly about the monarchy found themselves emotionally affected. Here was a woman who had dedicated herself to duty, maintained grace under constant scrutiny, and raised her children with striking normality despite their unique circumstances, now confronting every parent's greatest fear. The timing of the announcement only heightens its cruelty. Just weeks ago, Catherine appeared to be making a hopeful return to public life. At the Remembrance Day service at the Senate, she stood poised on the balcony, dressed in black, composed and dignified. To observers worldwide, she seemed to be steadily recovering after an incredibly difficult year. Behind closed doors, however, the situation was far more troubling. Medical scans conducted in late November revealed unexpected complications. Cancer cells believed to have been eliminated showed renewed activity in areas that deeply alarmed her medical team. Sources within the palace, speaking anonymously, described the hours before today's announcement as controlled turmoil. Senior members of the royal family were notified during emergency meetings late last night. King Charles, who is himself managing a cancer diagnosis disclosed earlier this year, was reportedly devastated by the news. Prince William, Catherine's steadfast support throughout this ordeal, ultimately made the painful decision to disclose the full reality to the public. Continuing to project reassurance was no longer sustainable. Medical facts left no room for delay, forcing the family into an announcement they had hoped never to make. Catherine's journey into uncertainty. To grasp the full significance of today's revelation, it is necessary to revisit where this ordeal began. January 16, 2024 was meant to be an ordinary day within the carefully managed life of the Princess of Wales. Instead, it marked the start of an unimaginable descent into uncertainty. The scheduled abdominal surgery, initially described as successful and unrelated to cancer, revealed a far more alarming discovery. Surgeons at the London clinic identified abnormalities that required immediate biopsy. When results arrived days later, everything changed. Cancer, one of the most feared diagnoses imaginable, had entered Catherine's life. And this was no routine case. While specific details remain undisclosed, the nature and location of the disease suggested an especially aggressive form, demanding swift and intensive treatment. Medical specialists note that cancers uncovered incidentally during surgery often indicate silent progression, having advanced unnoticed over time. This hidden development is precisely what makes such cases so dangerous. When Catherine announced her preventative chemotherapy in a heartfelt video message released in March, it was presented as a precaution. With poise and honesty, she explained that although the surgery had been successful, further testing revealed cancer, and chemotherapy was strongly advised. What remained unspoken, out of necessity, was her doctor's fear that microscopic traces of the disease may have already spread beyond the original site. The chemotherapy itself was grueling. Friends close to the family have quietly acknowledged that the toll was far greater than expected. Persistent nausea, profound exhaustion, and hair loss, carefully concealed through styling and wigs during rare public appearances, defined her days. Each treatment cycle weakened her further. Still, Catherine endured with the same resolve that has characterized her royal role. She was determined to survive. She had to for George, Charlotte, and Louis. Throughout the spring and summer of 2024, Catherine was largely absent from public view. Occasional images released by Kensington Palace depicted a mother striving to preserve a sense of normal life for her children. Carefully selected birthday photos and family moments aimed to reassure the public that recovery was underway. Yet subtle signs told a different story. Noticeable weight loss, strategic photo angles, and the quiet cancellation of engagements she would never normally miss suggested the ongoing struggle behind the scenes. When Catherine announced the completion of her chemotherapy in September through a recorded message, hope cautiously resurfaced, but it was hope tempered by uncertainty. She spoke openly about feeling relieved, about her hope to slowly resume more public duties, and about finally seeing what she described as light at the end of the tunnel. The video released to the public showed her smiling and laughing alongside William and their children in the Norfolk countryside. To many, it looked like a moment of triumph, a confident signal that she had overcome the battle. Yet medical professionals who watched closely noticed how carefully her words were chosen. She stated that her chemotherapy had concluded, not that she was free of cancer. She described entering a new stage of recovery, not being cured. Those nuances were critically important. As autumn arrived, there appeared to be a gradual re-emergence into royal life. Catherine made a short but meaningful appearance at Wimbledon in July. In November, she attended the remembrance service, presenting herself with the composure and grace that have long defined her public image. Each engagement, however, was precisely coordinated, with her schedule deliberately structured around her limited energy. What remained hidden from public view was the reality behind these moments. Constant medical consultations, close supervision, and increasing concern among her doctors. Scans that were expected to confirm improvement instead revealed troubling signs. Small shadows appeared, areas that required further imaging, additional tests, and biopsies that ultimately delivered devastating results. By late November, her medical team had to confront a painful truth. The cancer had not disappeared. It was changing, adapting, and continuing despite the harsh treatments she had already endured. New treatment plans would be required, more aggressive, more experimental, and carrying far greater uncertainty. Throughout this ordeal, Catherine has demonstrated a resilience that many describe as extraordinary. Those close to her speak of her determination to not let illness define who she is. Though no longer in the public eye as often, she remains engaged in her charitable work behind the scenes. She personally reads the letters sent by supporters. She stays actively involved in decisions about her children's schooling and daily lives. She stands beside William as he shoulders growing responsibilities, all while witnessing his wife fight for survival. Still, the strain is undeniable. This battle demands not only physical endurance, but emotional and psychological strength few people are ever asked to summon. Behind the palace gates, royal life has always masked private hardships, but rarely has the divide between public appearance and private reality been so severe. Within those walls, the Wales family has been living through a nightmare familiar to many families, but intensified by their public roles. Prince William, the future king, has been thrust into a position no amount of preparation could have readied him for. Becoming the primary caregiver and emotional foundation for his seriously ill wife while trying to protect their 3 young children from the full truth of her condition. Over the past 11 months, William has undergone a profound transformation. Once content to leave much of the household organization to Catherine, he is now deeply involved in every aspect of his children's daily routines, from morning preparations and school drop-offs to homework and bedtime stories. He carries these responsibilities while managing an expanding royal workload and enduring the emotional pain of watching the woman he loves fight for her life. Friends say he moves through his days on autopilot, functioning outwardly while privately gripped by fear of what lies ahead. George, Charlotte, and Louis have been shielded as much as possible from the seriousness of their mother's illness, yet they are far from unaware. 11-year-old George understands more than his parents suspect, noticing her exhaustion and her inability to do the things they once enjoyed together. 9-year-old Charlotte has become instinctively protective, offering help in ways that quietly devastate her parents. Louis, only 6, senses that something is wrong, even if he cannot yet put it into words. To navigate this delicate situation, the family has consulted child psychologists for guidance on how to speak honestly without causing fear, and how to prepare their children for possibilities no child should have to face. Lambrook School, where all 3 children are enrolled, has been discreetly informed and has put additional support measures in place. Teachers have been advised on what behavioral changes to watch for, ensuring the children receive help if they struggle more than they reveal at home. Known for its discretion, the school community has surrounded the Wales children with quiet support while allowing them to feel normal. Maintaining this balance requires constant communication between the school and Kensington Palace. At the same time, King Charles is facing his own deeply personal challenge. While undergoing treatment for his own cancer diagnosis, he has had to watch his daughter-in-law, whom he regards as a daughter, face a far more serious struggle. His cancer, discovered earlier in the year during treatment for an enlarged prostate, has required ongoing care but is considered manageable. Doctors remain cautiously optimistic, yet the worsening condition of Catherine has visibly weighed on the king. Charles has made more frequent private visits to Adelaide Cottage, spending time with William and the children and offering whatever guidance and comfort he can. This crisis has strengthened the bond between father and son. Old tensions have faded, replaced by mutual reliance and shared vulnerability. They speak often, sometimes several times a day, discussing treatments, voicing fears they cannot share elsewhere, and supporting each other through the isolation that accompanies royal duty during personal crisis. Charles has also begun easing William into greater responsibility, quietly preparing for circumstances no one wishes to imagine. Queen Camilla has emerged as a steady and unexpected source of support. Having witnessed serious illness affect her former husband and close friends, she brings a deep understanding of the exhaustion, fear, and guilt that accompany loving someone who is suffering. She has spent time with Catherine simply offering presence rather than discussion of illness, forming a bond that extends beyond formal roles. Together, they find comfort in a shared understanding of what it means to love men burdened by the weight of monarchy. Across the wider royal family, rare unity has taken shape. Princess Anne has discreetly increased her workload to relieve pressure on Charles and William. Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, have expanded their public duties and provided quiet support behind the scenes. Even relatives who typically remain distant have reached out, offering assistance in any way they can. Perhaps the most emotionally striking element of this crisis has been the reaction of those who have endured comparable royal hardships. Comparisons to Princess Diana's struggles, while different in circumstance, have not gone unnoticed. William's resolve to shield Catherine and their children from the relentless media attention that defined his mother's life has only strengthened. He has assumed direct control over the release of information, demanded strict privacy surrounding medical appointments, and drawn firm, non-negotiable boundaries around his family. The wounds of his childhood have shaped every choice he has made throughout this ordeal, whether for good or ill. The medical reality behind today's announcement requires deeper examination. To fully understand its gravity, one must consider the medical circumstances Catherine is facing. Although the palace has withheld precise details, the terminology used and the broader context offer meaningful insight. In women of Catherine's age, cancers discovered incidentally during surgery for unrelated conditions frequently involve gynecological or gastrointestinal systems. The implication of aggressive disease, suggested by the need for preventative chemotherapy followed by prolonged intensive treatment, points to a cancer that did not fully respond to initial therapeutic efforts. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, an oncologist at Royal Marsden Hospital who has not treated Catherine but speaks broadly about similar cases, explains that the need for multiple treatment protocols often signals either a highly aggressive cancer type or one that has demonstrated the ability to evade early interventions. While modern chemotherapy is highly effective against many cancers, certain cell types develop resistance, effectively adapting to survive the toxic conditions created by treatment. When resistance emerges, oncologists are forced to adjust strategy, frequently combining chemotherapy drugs, introducing targeted therapies, or exploring immunotherapy. The preventative chemotherapy Catherine underwent likely involved several cycles administered over many months. Each cycle consists of receiving potent medications designed to eliminate residual cancer cells, followed by a recovery phase that allows the body to regain strength before the next round. The physical side effects, nausea, exhaustion, hair loss, weakened immunity, and heightened infection risk, are formidable, but the emotional burden is often even more severe. Enduring the knowledge that toxic drugs are flowing through the body, destroying malignant cells while harming healthy ones, and living with uncertainty until follow-up scans are complete can be psychologically overwhelming. These follow-up scans, usually conducted every 3 months after chemotherapy ends, represent pivotal moments. Patients wait in agonizing suspense for results that will either confirm remission or signal the need for further treatment. In Catherine's case, scans performed in late November delivered the latter outcome. Imaging revealed new areas of concern or growth where none should have existed. This development required additional biopsies to determine the precise cellular changes at play. The findings from those biopsies directly informed today's announcement. When cancer returns or persists despite initial treatment, the medical equation shifts significantly. First-line chemotherapy is typically the most successful. Second- and third-line therapies often come with reduced effectiveness and harsher side effects. Physicians must carefully weigh aggressive intervention against quality of life, always recognizing that the patient is striving not only to survive, but to preserve a sense of normalcy. For Catherine, this balance means pursuing treatments that remain tolerable while still offering genuine prospects of success. The medical team overseeing Catherine's care represents the very highest level of British oncology. Specialists from Royal Marsden, consultants from other premier cancer centers, and experts in specialized treatment methods collaborate closely. They convene regularly to reassess her case, debate strategies, evaluate clinical trials, and exhaust every possible option. The King's personal physicians work alongside Catherine's doctors to maintain continuity and shared insight between both cases. This level of coordination reflects medicine at its best, while simultaneously highlighting the seriousness of the situation. Such teams are not assembled for routine cases. Immunotherapy, one avenue under consideration, stands among the most promising advancements in modern cancer treatment. These therapies work by training the patient's immune system to identify and attack cancer cells. For certain individuals, immunotherapy has produced extraordinary results, even when conventional chemotherapy has failed. Yet not all cancers respond, and predicting benefit remains difficult. Testing Catherine's cancer for markers that indicate potential immunotherapy responsiveness has almost certainly been part of her recent evaluations. Targeted therapy presents another potential path. These drugs are engineered to attack specific genetic mutations within cancer cells, often delivering strong results with fewer side effects than traditional chemotherapy. Their effectiveness, however, depends on identifying mutations that can be directly targeted. Advances in precision oncology have transformed this field in recent years, creating opportunities where none previously existed. Catherine's medical team has almost certainly conducted extensive genetic sequencing to uncover any actionable mutations. A monarchy in transition now faces the broader consequences of this announcement. The implications extend far beyond the personal life of the Wales family and into the structure of the British monarchy itself. Royal schedules are meticulously planned months, sometimes years, in advance. Catherine's indefinite withdrawal from public duties leaves a void that cannot easily be filled. As Princess of Wales and future Queen Consort, her role holds exceptional symbolic and public significance, second only to the monarch and consort. One immediate challenge lies in reallocating Catherine's patronages and official responsibilities. She serves as patron to numerous charities and organizations, many selected to reflect her commitment to early childhood development, mental health, and the arts. These groups rely on royal patronage not only for prestige, but for increased visibility and fundraising capability. While Catherine may remain patron in name, the absence of her active involvement presents real difficulties. Other royals may temporarily step in, but her personal connection to these causes is irreplaceable. State events introduce additional complications. The royal calendar includes state visits, diplomatic receptions, and national commemorations where senior royal presence is expected. Catherine's participation in such events has become both anticipated and valued. Her absence will be noticeable. While Queen Camilla can perform many ceremonial duties, the lack of representation from the younger generation embodied by Catherine creates an imbalance in how the monarchy presents itself domestically and internationally. Perhaps the most significant impact falls on Prince William. Already assuming greater responsibility as the future king, Catherine's illness accelerates this transition dramatically. He must now serve as the primary public figure of the younger royals, absorb some of Catherine's commitments, and still remain fully present for his wife and children. It is an untenable situation that demands constant prioritization and acceptance that not everything can be accomplished. King Charles confronts his own challenge. At 76 and undergoing cancer treatment himself, he cannot simply expand his workload to offset Catherine's absence. The monarch's schedule is already carefully calibrated to balance constitutional duties with the need for rest and recovery. Adding significantly more engagements could jeopardize his own health. Yet, the institution requires visible royal presence. This tension between personal health needs and institutional demands highlights fundamental questions about the sustainability of the modern monarchy's operational model. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, finds herself once again stepping up to fill gaps. Known as the hardest-working royal based on the number of annual engagements, and has quietly taken on additional responsibilities. But she is 74 years old. While remarkably vigorous and committed, there are practical limits to how much any one person can do. The same applies to Prince Edward and Sophie, who have increased their profile and workload, but cannot single-handedly make up for the absence of two of the monarchy's most prominent members. This situation has reignited discussions about the wisdom of the slimmed-down monarchy concept that Charles has long advocated. The idea, popular in theory, is that a smaller core of working royals creates a more modern, cost-effective institution. But the current crisis reveals the vulnerability of this approach. When illness or personal crisis strikes, as it inevitably does in any family, a smaller team has less capacity to absorb the shock. There's no bench of working royals ready to step in. Those who might have filled such roles have either been pushed out or never developed into working members of the firm. The constitutional implications, while not immediate, also warrant consideration. The line of succession remains clear. Charles, then William, then George. But if William must devote significant time and energy to caring for Catherine and their children, his capacity to prepare for eventual kingship is impacted. The education and training required for the role, the relationship building with government ministers, the understanding of Commonwealth dynamics. All of this requires time and focus that William increasingly lacks. There's also the uncomfortable question of succession planning should worst-case scenarios materialize. While no one wants to contemplate such possibilities, the monarchy as an institution must consider all contingencies. If Catherine's illness proves terminal, William would eventually face the prospect of being king while single and raising 3 children alone. Historical precedent exists, but modern expectations of the monarchy differ vastly from those of previous eras. The public has come to value the stable family image that William and Catherine represent. Losing that would fundamentally alter the monarchy's appeal and relevance to younger generations. Parliament and the government, while publicly maintaining respectful distance from royal health matters, privately monitor the situation closely. The monarchy's stability is considered a national interest. Any significant disruption to royal functions or succession planning has implications for Britain's constitutional order and international standing. Quiet conversations are undoubtedly occurring about contingency plans, though such discussions would never be acknowledged publicly. Public opinion, that fickle force that can make or break modern monarchy, has rallied around Catherine in ways that demonstrate her genuine popularity. Polls consistently show her as one of the most admired royals, someone who represents a successful modern interpretation of ancient traditions. Her illness has generated widespread sympathy and concern. But public patience has limits. If royal functions become noticeably diminished, if the monarchy appears unable to fulfill its symbolic and ceremonial role, questions about its continued relevance may intensify. The path forward. As the shock of today's announcement begins to settle, attention inevitably turns to what comes next. For Catherine personally, the path forward involves submitting to whatever treatment protocols her medical team recommends, knowing that each decision carries enormous weight. The balance between aggressive treatment and quality of life becomes paramount. She wants to beat this disease, but she also wants to be present and functional for her children's daily lives. Finding treatments that offer genuine hope of success, while allowing her to continue being an active mother, requires careful calibration. The next phase of treatment set to begin in the coming weeks, according to palace sources, will likely be more intensive than what Catherine has already endured. Whether this involves combination chemotherapy, immunotherapy, targeted therapy, or some combination thereof, the side effects will be significant. Managing these effects while maintaining any semblance of normal family life will require tremendous support systems. The Wales household has resources that most cancer patients can only dream of. Round-the-clock medical care, private chefs who can prepare meals tailored to nutritional needs and nausea management, household staff to handle daily tasks that become overwhelming during treatment. Yet, all the resources in the world cannot make cancer easier to bear. William's role in the months ahead cannot be understated. He must be a partner, caregiver, father, and future king simultaneously. The pressure he faces is extraordinary. Yet those who know him well say he draws strength from Catherine's example. If she can face cancer with dignity and determination, he can face the challenge of supporting her through it. Their relationship tested as few relationships will either emerge stronger or buckle under the weight. All indications suggest the former. The bond between William and Catherine, forged over more than 2 decades together, appears unshakable. For George, Charlotte, and Louis, the coming months will shape their understanding of family, resilience, and mortality in ways that will impact them for life. Child psychologists emphasize the importance of age-appropriate honesty, maintaining routine wherever possible, and ensuring children know they can express their feelings without burdening their parents. The Wales family has apparently embraced this approach, having regular family meetings where the children can ask questions and express concerns. They're also ensuring that despite everything, there are still moments of joy, still family activities, still laughter. Cancer may be present in their lives, but it doesn't define every moment. The broader royal family support will continue to be crucial. Regular visits from grandparents, cousins, and other relatives provide both practical help and emotional sustenance. The royal calendar will be adjusted to allow senior royals to spend more time supporting William and the children. Some planned international trips may be postponed or reassigned. State visits might be scaled back. The institution must adapt to the reality that one of its central figures is fighting for her life. Kensington Palace communications strategy will also evolve. Today's announcement represents a shift toward greater transparency about Catherine's condition. While specific medical details will remain private, the public can expect more regular updates about her treatment and condition. This openness serves multiple purposes. It manages public expectations about her absence. It reduces speculation and rumor, and it allows the nation to feel connected to Catherine's journey. The alternative, attempting to maintain privacy through silence, has proven untenable. The timeline for any possible return to public duties remains genuinely uncertain. Best-case scenarios might see Catherine able to attend some events later in 2025, though likely in reduced capacity. More realistic projections suggest that significant public engagement won't resume until 2026 or beyond. There's also the possibility, one that must be acknowledged even if it's painful, that Catherine may never fully return to the level of royal duty she maintained before her diagnosis. This would represent a fundamental shift in how the Wales household operates and how the monarchy functions. Medical advancements offer genuine hope. Cancer treatment continues to evolve at a remarkable pace. Drugs and approaches that didn't exist 5 years ago are now standard treatments. Clinical trials offer access to cutting-edge therapies. Catherine's medical team has access to the latest developments worldwide. If experimental treatments show promise, she will be among the first to benefit. Money and royal status cannot buy guaranteed outcomes, but they do provide access to every possible tool in the fight against cancer. The spiritual dimension of Catherine's journey cannot be ignored. As future Queen and Supreme Governor of the Church of England, her faith has always been important to her. During this crisis, by all accounts, it has become even more central. Private prayers with clergy, finding solace in Scripture, the support of a faith community that spans the nation. These elements provide comfort that medicine alone cannot offer. Whether one is personally religious or not, the power of faith to sustain people through suffering is undeniable. Looking further ahead, Catherine's experience will inevitably shape her future royal work. Should she recover sufficiently to resume public duties, having faced serious illness, she will bring even greater authenticity to her mental health advocacy and support for those dealing with medical crisis. Her patronage of cancer charities, which she has supported in the past, would take on profound new meaning. She could become a powerful voice for patients navigating the healthcare system, for research funding, for the emotional support structures that families facing cancer desperately need. There's also the legacy being written in real time. Regardless of outcomes, Catherine's grace under unimaginable pressure, her determination to protect her children's well-being, her refusal to let illness define her entirely. These qualities resonate far beyond royal circles. She's demonstrating a very modern form of courage, one that acknowledges vulnerability while refusing to surrender to it. Future historians will note this period as defining not just for Catherine personally, but for how the monarchy navigated the crisis in the 21st century. The British public, and indeed people around the world, find themselves in the unusual position of caring deeply about someone they've never met. Catherine has achieved something remarkable. She's made the monarchy feel human and relatable while maintaining its dignity and mystique. Her illness strips away any remaining veneer, revealing the fundamental truth that royalty offers no protection against life's cruelest challenges. In facing cancer with courage and honesty, Catherine reminds us all of our shared humanity. As we move forward from today's devastating announcement, uncertainty dominates. Medical outcomes remain unknown. Timelines cannot be predicted with any confidence. The only certainties are that Catherine will continue fighting with every resource available to her, that her family will stand beside her regardless of what comes, and that a nation holds its breath hoping for positive news in the weeks and months ahead. The coming days will bring more details as the palace adjusts to this new reality. More medical appointments, more treatment decisions, more careful management of public information versus private suffering. Through it all, the focus remains where it should, on a wife, mother, and daughter fighting for her life. The titles and tiaras fade into insignificance beside that fundamental human drama. Today's announcement from Buckingham Palace marks not an ending, but a transition into a new, more uncertain phase of Catherine's cancer journey. The battle continues. The outcome remains unknown, and all we can do is hope, pray, and support from afar. As one of Britain's most beloved figures faces the greatest challenge of her life, the fairy tale romance that captured hearts worldwide now faces its darkest chapter. How this story ends remains unwritten, but the courage with which it's being lived deserves our profound respect and support.